Welcome to this week's episode of Biz Success in 15, where top experts share hot tips and strategies that you can implement in as little as 15 minutes to build your dream business. And now here's your host, the Visibility Whiz, Cindy J.
Hi, I'm Cindy J, the Visibility Whiz, and welcome to this episode of Biz Success in 15, where top experts share hot tips and strategies that you can implement in 15 minutes or less to build your business. And today our guest is Marcy Nelson-Garrison. She's all about transforming lives through products. Entrepreneurs, coaches, authors, speakers, and healers hire Marcy when they are ready to claim their wisdom and expertise, take a stand, and create powerful products and make programs that make sense and make money. Welcome, Marcy. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thanks, Cindy J. It's great to be here.
And to begin with, Marcy, can you share with our audience a personal or business challenge that you had to overcome in order to achieve your level of success?
Well, I'm guessing you've heard this one before, but I think one of the things that I needed to get over in order to really up-level my business is that whole idea that I had to do everything myself. And being a creative person and a bit of a rebel, it was really hard to let go of bits and pieces. But once I started, I think it's that very first person you hire to do something for you that's the big gasp. But once you do that and you realize how they can work circles around you,
right.
do that thing that you were spending hours doing so that you could get on to the more creative things in the business. So since that first one, between up-leveling the amount of people that help me, up-leveling my systems, and even up-leveling my investment in coaching and guidance for myself, every giant leap I've made involved all those three things.
I love even that you said, especially at up-leveling yourself and coaching, because it's so important to, whenever we grow, to remember that having a coach is part of our team,
right.
Because our coach can help us stay on our path and point it out whenever we're veering in the wrong direction, even though we may not think we are.
Yeah, and remind us of how good we actually are and how much brilliance we actually have.
Yes.
It's invaluable. We forget all the time.
Our own personal cheerleaders, yes. And Marcy, I know that you are a big fan of card decks, and you even teach a course about it. So can you explain what a card deck is?
Well, I think all of us probably grew up with card decks of some sort. I mean, maybe we played Crazy Eights or Slapjack as a kid. Maybe going through school, we used flashcards to learn something. As you got older, maybe it was poker, or I don't know. In my family, it's hand and foot. That's the big game they play. But a card, it's a medium. But you can put anything on that square shape or rectangular shape. And you've probably not thought of using a card deck for your business, but there are so many ways that you can teach, you can motivate, you can inspire. You know, when someone comes and learns something from you, it's a great tool to give them to remember the learning and keep getting re-inspired. And I just want to show a couple of decks because I think that's the easiest way to understand, right?
Right. Yes, please do. I just absolutely love your decks.
I'm going to show you the cover of the box for this one. It's for parenting. So it's a wonderful deck that uses, let me pull out a couple it uses different archetypes that parents could relate to. And then each card has a really interesting question to reflect on. So this one, it's the Sage archetype, says, how do you help your child to trust his or her deeper wisdom? I mean, it's just a powerful way to get parents reflecting on how they parent. And another one that's a little more whimsical, it's Spirit Cats. And this person has just tons of beautiful images of cats.
Mm-hmm.
And then each one has like a little story on the back. So the cat has a name, and then it gives a little bit of wisdom. And this cat is called Sage, and she talks about the threshold. So it's just a way for her to share both her art and her wisdom. And you can run the gamut. You could do card sorts. You could do training cards. My own deck is a coach training tool. So Q Basics, open-ended questions for coaching mastery. And a lot of people buy it to train in corporate settings their employees in coaching skills. So card decks have a broad use, and I can't think of any niche where it couldn't work. So,
right. And I know they are absolutely great. I created a couple of cards based on what I've learned from you when I attended a live event. And I know they were a big hit, and everybody just kept talking about what a great idea it was. And all I did, on one side, I had my logo, and on the other side, I had an action step.
Nice.
Yeah. So whenever they're easy and simple, they can really go a long way to build your brand and build your business.
They can. And they can be even beyond being your brand. You can give it its own brand, and it can go out in the bigger world.
Right.
Sold by a lot of other people too. So you can go with it. So it's just about your business, or you can take it bigger.
I love that. And I know that I've even heard you say, ditch the book and profit from card decks. So can you explain that statement to us?
Well, like, how many of you out there have had a book that you've been going to write for forever? And you think that's the only way, really, to get your message out, but it's on the back burner. It's been on the back burner forever. Card decks are easier, and they're faster, and they're a lot more fun, and they're interactive. So you get to engage your clients in a different way than having your book sitting on their bedstand half read, right? And they can be as simple as what you said. I always show people the angel cards, because these are like, here's what it is on one side, just this teeny, tiny card with a little word, the angel of exploration, and the writing in the book is like 2 sentences. So that would be way easier to write than a book, right? Even if you have 50 cards, way easier than a book, and a lot more fun. People are going to remember you differently. You're really going to stand out. It does the same thing a book does, builds your credibility. It makes you an author. You can use it as a platform builder. I mean, so why not? Why struggle with that book that's just not getting done?
One of the things that I love about cards too versus a book is typically whenever we read a book, we read it from start to finish, or we just read parts of it that we're interested in, and then we put it aside. But with cards, especially if they're created correctly following your guidelines, that card deck is something that somebody can utilize every single day. Therefore, you're really increasing your visibility so much because you're always top of mind. Like if you have a little angel card or something, if they always have it next to their desk every day, they can pick one to choose to journal on or to contemplate, or different questions to answer.
Or a social media action to take.
Right.
And just one. That's what makes it the antithesis of overwhelm.
Yeah. Exactly. And so they're so ingenious, and they're really not all that complicated to create and to get your message out there, especially not whenever you follow Marcy.
Guidance.
There's always guidelines. Sometimes we see something and we take it and we do it ourselves and we don't get the right results, and it's because we're not following the guidelines from the person that created or the person that we learned it from. And Marcy, I know that you teach 10 different ways that people can profit from card decks. So can you share a few of those with us?
Yeah. I actually have, it's an infographic, which I'll tell you about later. So you're going to get all of these in the free gift. But people think of card decks and they think, well, the number one way is you just sell it. Sell it right off your website, direct sales. But there are so many more things you can do with a card deck that will increase your revenue beyond direct sales. So that's just a great starting place. So you can bundle it with other courses and products, and it just up levels the perceived value. So if you offer something tangible with a course or even a coaching package, it looks so much more valuable than if you offer the course alone. They get this tangible thing in the mail that comes with it. And it gives people a way to engage during your program. So you can use the card deck and they'll fall in love with it. They'll tell their friends. So that's one of the ways.
Mm-hmm.
Another one is you could build an entry-level program around your card deck. So a lot of card decks are actually easily adaptable to an assessment or some sort of an entry-level process. The one I showed you that was the parenting one,
yeah,
you can have an entry-level meet the parenting archetype session. So it could just be an entry-level, see what archetype you relate most to, which one you don't. I mean, it could give you a bit of an assessment, help you know where someone is, help them know where they are and what they need to grow. And then it's a perfect stepping stone to hiring you for a bigger package.
So, sometimes creating a package, people, they feel overwhelmed even thinking about creating like a 4 or 6 week program. So, and you're saying that you can utilize the cards with the program. And so is this something that you teach in your course if somebody does want to go that route?
That's another course. But we do really invite people to think of their business and where the card deck fits in, where it really makes sense, where they could leverage it for other programs or build around it. So it's an important part of the conceptualization of what you're going to create your card deck about.
So should you create the card deck first then?
I think you could do it either way. I've had people in my programs that have a program and want a card deck to go with it. Now, what they struggle with the most, and what I find myself helping them with the most, is somehow they want to take their entire program and pack it into a card deck. And it's like, no. You find the place in your program where they need additional inspiration or motivation or little snippets of training, and keep it simple. Don't try to pack your entire knowledge base into a single card deck, which I think people get tired of hearing me saying the course, simplify, simplify, simplify. So,
right. Simple is always better.
Well, it can be really powerful.
Exactly. Very, very powerful, like your parenting question. And I know I've seen this, I don't know if it was on your website or what, some of the other questions in that parenting one. And I thought how ingenious to have these questions, because parents always have these questions. And so this helps give people different perspective on how they're parenting. And I can see how you could do it if you're a health coach or a relationship coach or a business coach. It'll fit with anything. You get these simple little questions that help people to think they can make this huge impact on their life.
Yes.
One of the things, and it was my theme with my little cards, was your life is your choice. And it's because that statement made such an impact on my own personal life the first time I heard it.
Yes.
So it's something that goes along with you and can really go a long ways. So what other ways can people profit from card decks?
Well, you can, if you develop a process around how to use your card deck. There's a woman who created a card deck called Soul Coaching Cards. And she created the card deck, and then people started asking her, well, how do I use these with my clients? What's a really good way to use it? So she started creating a program and teaching them how to use it with their clients. Mm-hmm. And then pretty soon, they wanted to be certified in her process, so she created that. And then she taught other people how to teach her system. And so anyway, she licensed her process. And it all started with the card deck. She'd written some books, but it wasn't until the card deck that whole thing just sort of mushroomed. And she ended up creating an institute, like the Soul Coaching Institute. I mean, it just grew and grew and grew from that card deck.
Mm-hmm. And I love that. I mean, because they can be used like in funnels or something for sales or something, but also it's whenever you create the card deck that starts that whole creative mode going, and then you just follow guidance and you never know what can come out of it.
You don't if you're listening to guidance and listening to your audience. The people purchasing the card deck, because they were coming to her and saying, how do I use this with clients? I love it for myself. How do I use it with clients? So it was great.
Yeah. That would be an interesting card deck, how to listen to your clients.
Or at least it would maybe be a suit in a card deck.
Yeah. And explain the suits. Now, how do you have suits in card decks? So can you give us a sample?
You know, suits, people understand suits because they're the hearts and clubs. And
right. So, and I understand that. So is each one a different theme based around your main theme?
I have this deck. I wonder if there's her sample card. She has different suits. It's called Get Wired. It's actually about networking. I'm just looking for the one card that lists all the suits here. So this is the card. She has 5 suits. So they're just different categories.
Can you read them? The suits? Just
yeah. So I can't see it and read them at the same time. But refresh. So like who's on your radar that you need to reconnect with? And there's a whole bunch of activities related to that. One of them is stand out. So that what makes you stand out and what are you about? What's your unique perspective? So all these cards are about you reflecting on how you're unique. Deepen, that one's all about the key influencers in your sphere and how to re-engage with them. And then stretch, how do you get out of your comfort zone? So a whole bunch of cards about that. Mm-hmm. And let's see, I did refresh, engage. What insights can you share with your network? That's a wonderful way to keep in touch. So she has a lot of ideas about that, a lot of different cards. And then, each card just has a tip. And this one is from the Standout. And it says, create a simple website or Facebook page that tells your personal story about why you do what you do.
So with like the one that you just showed us, the different suits have different colors, I seen. So she has it all color-coded with the questions. And is there a limit? I mean, how many suits should a person have and how many cards should they have per suit? How much is too big and how much is too small?
You're getting really granular in the card development process because not everyone will have suits. Mm-hmm. If it's a wisdom deck, it won't have suits. If it's like the angel cards, it won't have suits. But if it's a training tool, more than likely it will have suits because there's different types of activities. But it could have 2 suits. It could. I think I know someone who's trying to create one with 9, which is a lot. I think that's a lot of suits. But, then you have to test it with their market to see if they get it, if those suits make sense. So unfortunately, there's not a pat answer for you can only do it with 4 suits. You will have to have 18 cards in each suit. I mean, it's a unique process. You really get to kind of make it up. I mean, I've got guidelines for people, but there's a lot of room for creativity.
Okay. Very, very, very cool. So Marcy, so far you've mentioned 3 ways that people can profit from their card decks. Can you refresh us really quick on what they are and maybe share 1 or 2 more?
So just to recap, you can really create irresistible bundles when you combine your programs with a card deck. You can license your process if you develop a process. And then, one other way is just building a program around it. So letting the card deck be the driving creative force behind an entry-level product to offer a client. It'll just make it sound really cool that you're using this one-of-a-kind tool in an assessment entry-level process with them. So that's 3. Entry-level product program around the deck, licensing, and bundling.
Mm-hmm. And you had mentioned earlier ways that you can utilize it even to engage with your clients in social media. So how does a business owner use their cards to engage with their audience?
Sometimes you just want to post something simple. You could scan a card. There's your post with a little tip of wisdom. You can create you can use it in newsletters. You can use it on your blog. You can use it as part of a Facebook challenge. You can use your cards in the prompts. And all of those just sort of pave the way for people to come and get your card deck. But I think it's just a wonderful tool to engage with. It's visual. It's a nugget, something people can just chew on easily without reading a big, long thing. Because it's visual, I think people will share it.
And something, too, that just popped into my mind, I don't know if anybody's ever done this, but if you have even 52 different cards, let's say, in your card deck, and each of them is a question, you could actually make 52 little mini 2 to 3 minute videos with the question and maybe some ideas around that question, which would boost your credibility, give you content for videos, and really help with your social media.
Really, how easy would that be? You can't do that with a book.
Right.
Page 44.
Exactly. And too, whenever somebody sees one of these videos, that's going to make them want to know more about the cards.
Right. Exactly.
Yes. I love the cards. I love your wisdom. Thank you for sharing it with us, Marcy. And I know that you have a strategy that our listeners can implement in 15 minutes or less to build their business. So can you share what that is?
I was thinking about that because there's not a lot of things that you can do in 15 minutes, but I think you could do this. But here's how I would do it. I would write a mini manifesto for your business because I think it's really important to know your stand. Like, how do you advocate for your clients? What's your stake in the ground? What do you absolutely believe for them? Because we're all fierce advocates for our clients, and there's things we believe. So come up with 10 statements, I believe or I know. Now, sometimes it's hard to sit down and do it all at once. So think about it while you're doing the dishes or walking the dog, and then just jot them down. And then you could do it over a week with only 3 minutes at a time or something, and you'll have it. But for example, they're just basic, and they always take you to your core when you read them. That's what you're looking for. And then you create everything around. Like if you've got a million ideas like I do, you go back to that mini manifesto and go, is it aligned with this? If it is, go for it. If it's not, toss it.
I love that idea.
I know. I believe card decks are easier for my clients to create than writing a book.
Right.
That's the stand I'm taking. And I believe we all have wisdom. And it's important to find creative ways to share it. And I believe that you need to carve out time for the creative process. So those are just a few that would be on my list. And so it's just really figuring out what those are for you, because they're just such important guiding lights for your business decisions.
I love that. Your guiding light manifesto.
Exactly.
I don't know why that just popped into my head. And Marcy, I know that you have a fantastic gift. We've shared sort of a little bit about it for our audience. Can you share what it is, please?
Well, it is an infographic. It's called 10 Ways to Profit from Creating a Card Deck. It's an easy download. It's visual. That makes it kind of fun to capture and get the main points. But I also have some little stories that illustrate how to implement each of those 10 ways to profit from your card deck. Some of them are ones we've spoken about, but there are some other ones too. And you'll want to check it out because there are ways to profit from your card deck that have probably never occurred to you.
Right. I love that. And I love that you show examples of how the process will work for each of the ways to profit from the card decks. Yes. So to our audience, you want to head on over to bizsuccessin15.com/Marcy. That's all lowercase, MARCY. And bizsuccessin15, BIZ, success, NIN, 1515.com/Marcy. And to grab your 10 ways to profit from card decks. You'll be glad you did. And Marcy, do you have any parting words for our audience?
I think the biggest thing is to trust that you have something important to share. Just really trust it. a lot of people think it might not be good enough or it's not original enough. But, a New York publishing specialist told me once, it only needs to be 10% original to be perceived as fresh and new. And if you bring your authentic self to it and your heart to it, you're going to have that 10%. So find a creative way to get your message out into the world. The world needs you.
The world definitely needs you. I love that. Thank you, Marcy. It's been a pleasure having you as my guest today.
You're welcome.
And to our audience, if you enjoyed today's show, please feel free to share it with your friends. I think every small business owner should have a card deck. Go out there and share Marcy's wisdom with your friends and share this podcast with them. You want to hop on over to bizsuccessin15.com/Marcy. You'll find all links from today's show, and you'll be able to re-listen to Marcy's words of wisdom, catch up on any past episodes that you might have missed. And while you're there, you want to be sure to grab your 10 easy ways to profit from creating a card deck. So be sure to tune in next week when we have another amazing guest. Big hugs. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Biz Success in 15. For all links mentioned in today's show and to watch or listen to previous episodes, visit bizsuccessin15.com. Thanks so much for listening, and be sure to tune in next week for another amazing guest.